矿产协议谈判破局后，美国总统川普短暂前往佛州度假，周日重返白宫，首度表态相关议题。他在真相社交平台转发一名美国武术老师的文章，内容写道：现在泽伦斯基别无选择，只能让步并接受川普的条件。但最巧妙的地方在于，川普实际上是在保护乌克兰，同时避免美国卷入战争，透过矿产协议谈判，确保美国企业参与乌克兰采矿业，阻止俄罗斯发动入侵。另一方面，乌克兰总统泽伦斯基有信心与美国总统川普修复关系，并重新达成矿产协议。
Так ми не робимо ніяких кроків назад. Це наша політика бути послідовними, незважаючи на те, що сталося раніше, незважаючи на це, ми конструктивні. Якщо ми домовилися, що вона буде підписана, з нашого боку, ми готові підписувати. Я, чесно кажучи, думаю, що і Сполучені Штати будуть готові.
英国首相斯塔默和英国国防部长希利周一宣布，英国将把国防预算的一大部分资金分配给国防部门的中小型企业。斯塔默上周宣布，将在2027年前将每年的国防支出增加到 GDP 的 2.5%， 目标是 3%。英国首相斯塔默周日在欧洲领导人峰会后宣布实现永久和平的4大重点，包括在向俄罗斯施加经济压力的同时，欧洲将继续为乌克兰提供军事援助，同时以美国为后盾，欧洲将发展一个愿意捍卫乌克兰并为和平提供保障的联盟。
We are at a crossroads in history today. Time to step up and lead, and to unite around a new plan for a just and enduring peace. Europe must do the heavy lifting, but to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong U.S. backing.
斯塔默强调，美国仍是一个可靠的盟友，他愿意成为欧洲和美国的中间人来推动对话。而乌克兰总统泽连斯基会晤川普后，28号表示，仍准备签署矿产协议。根据多家媒体报道，英国首相斯塔默对泽连斯基表达支持的同时，也敦促他尽快修复与川普的关系，与美方重新谈判关键合作。
周六上午，泽连斯基在伦敦唐宁街10号受到首相斯塔默的欢迎。随后，斯塔默与泽连斯基签署了一份新的借贷协议，加强乌克兰的国防能力。星期天，伦敦将召开欧洲扩大峰会，共同商讨乌克兰的和平计划。此间，欧洲领导人对川普与泽连斯基周五在媒体面前激烈交锋纷纷发表见解。德国外长周六表示，与乌克兰站在一起。北约秘书长吕特称这次争执为不幸，导致基辅与其最大军事援助国关系陷入新低。他认为泽连斯基应想办法恢复与川普的关系。周六，波兰总统安杰伊·杜达建议泽连斯基回到美国的谈判桌上，平静商谈与乌克兰安全的解决方案。
osiągnąć zakończenie tej wojny, to jest w stanie, to Stany Zjednoczone mają taki potencjał, dzięki któremu może to zostać uzyskane, nikt inny.
作为乌克兰盟友，杜达强调，希望乌克兰取得长期安全和和平，也是波兰的愿望，同时也意味着俄罗斯不再敢侵略其他国家。匈牙利总理维克托则在社媒 X 上发文说，川普总统正在完成他的竞选承诺，他正在尽其所能带来和平。在韩国首尔，一位居民则表示，每个国家都需要照顾好自己。
본인 국가가 이익이 우선이니까 그래서 뭔가 경제적으로도 좀 더 강해져야 되고.
在澳大利亚悉尼，一位居民称，泽连斯基对美国长期以来的帮助忘恩负义。
My opinion is that Zelensky was very self-opinionated. The fact that America hasn't helped them, but where America has helped them for a long, long time. But it's just crazy the fact that Zelensky he basically rejected the fact that anybody was helping me, and he seemed very ungrateful.
在捷克首都布拉格，有居民支持泽连斯基，称赞他勇敢，为他的国家和人民挺身而出。
Myslím, že každý slušný stát by měl Ukrajinu podporovat a chovat se vůči prezidentovi Zelenskému takovýmto urážlivým způsobem považuji za ostudu. Prezident Zelenský si zaslouží úctu, protože je to statečný člověk.
乌克兰总统泽连斯基周五访美期间，与川普总统在媒体面前激烈交锋，双方最终未能签署关键矿产协议，不欢而散。川普认为泽连斯基还没有做好和平的准备。泽连斯基事后向媒体表示，他相信可以挽回双方的关系，并通过社交媒体对于美国援助乌克兰以及此行访问表示感谢。
上一个的节目中，我们做了一些探讨。我认识一位前 FBI 助理主管，2008年在乌克兰工作。我们让他在节目中谈论一下。泽连斯基在英文方面有一些语言障碍，说实话，英文不是他的母语，他可能想强调一些事情，但没找到合适的词语或正确的词。我不知道这次语言攻击是否是有预谋的，我甚至不想使用攻击这个词，因为我不喜欢它的内涵。但我要说的是，万斯和任何人都知道，这在美国业界是行得通的。当2号人物开始与房间里的大老板交谈时，每个人都会看着2号人物，说你为什么在没有和你说话的情况下发言。我认为万斯作为美国副总统需采取温和的语气，川普总统应该介入并说，我们不需要在镜头前谈这些。不过人们也在争论，该不该将谈判展现在镜头前。战争没有结束，谈判会很艰难。川普总统竞选时主张结束战争，现在川普觉得他应该先与入侵者谈判，他可以让普京坐到谈判桌前。乌克兰在这方面是次要的。
英国首相表示，欧洲现在必须为和平计划承担重任。他还表示，和平计划包括地面维和部队和领空安全。俄罗斯外长拉夫罗夫对此表示反对，认为莫斯科不会接受维和部队，所以我们该怎么做？
国务卿卢比奥在沙特阿拉伯和拉夫罗夫会面时，作为调解努力的一部分，最重要的事情之一是关于维和部队。我和几个也报道了卢比奥会晤细节的人进行了交谈，这是一件大事，也是一大收获。美国对维和部队态度非常坚决，俄罗斯认为维和部队是侵犯。我的想法是，我听到了英国首相所说的，我完整观看了昨天的会议。他被直言不讳地问道，你认为应该在没有美国参与的情况下采取行动了吗？这是川普计划的一部分。就像川普所说的，北约成员没有公平贡献自己的力量，他们没有承担自己那部分防御支出，这就是川普的感觉。但其他国家不这么认为，但这就是川普的感受。所以我认为，斯塔默在这里说，在他的话中没有听到他忽视美国。我觉得我们都在一个大陆上，应该多承担一部分。让我们一起制定一个计划，和乌克兰总统、法国总统马克龙、特鲁多也在镜头中，让我们一起制定计划，然后让美国参与。
美国总统川普先前将加拿大和墨西哥的关税延后1个月，如今即将在3月4号生效。商务部长努特尼克对此表示，加墨两国在边境问题上做得很好，但芬太尼的问题还没解决。川普到时候会决定出税率，不一定会是之前说的25%。
Fentanyl continues to come into this country and continues to murder our people. And the ingredients are made in China, they're sent to Mexico and Canada, and then they come and attack our country, and that's got to end.
卢特尼克还提到，芬太尼的源头来自中国，如果中方不改善，川普还会再提高对中关税，预计会增加10%。
They either end these subsidies, and they end making these ingredients from fentanyl, or he's going to put tariffs on there. And if they think they're going to retaliate, remember, they have so much more that they sell to us than we sell to them. It's not even close that this is not a battle that we're ever going to lose.
对于川普的关税政策，知名投资人巴菲特称，这在某种程度上是一种战争行为，而且随着时间推移，关税最后都会变成商品税，转嫁到消费者身上，并引发通膨。 然而，美国财政部长贝森特澄清，他强调，川普的关税不太可能推高通膨，因为中国出口商将承担所有的关税。他也呼吁加拿大跟进墨西哥，对中国商品征收关税，这样3国可以形成贸易堡垒，阻止中国廉价商品倾销北美。
为避免3月4号生效的惩罚性关税，墨西哥致力于和川普政府达成协议，其中一个内容就是与美国同步对来自中国的商品征收关税。川普一直指责中国向美国大量输入芬太尼，毒害了很多美国人，其中相当比例是从墨西哥与加拿大进入美国的。因此，白宫宣布将在3月4号对2个邻居征收25%关税，对中国则在2月初已经增加10%关税的基础上再增加10%。现在墨西哥拟定的对华关税计划针对的是汽车及其部件。美国财长贝森特2月28号对彭博电视表示，如果加拿大也能像墨西哥这样对中国商品加税，将是一个很好的姿态，可以保护北美免受中国商品的冲击。另外，除了对华关税，墨西哥给美国的协议方案中也包括购买更多美国货。
First, I want to say thank you to Mr. President to give me this opportunity to announce our big project in the U.S. TSMC is the world's largest chip manufacturing funded by Dr. Morris Chen in 1987. It's now at the forefront of semiconductor technology, supporting AI advancement and industry growth. In fact, I would like to wind back the time that in 2020, we have to thank President Trump's vision and his support. So TSMC started the journey of establishing the advanced chip manufacturing in Arizona. And now, let me proudly say, now the vision become reality. In Phoenix, Arizona, with 3,000 employees, we are producing the most advanced chip made on U.S. soil. With the success of our first fab, so we are now very happy to announce we are going to invest additional $100 billion in addition to our current $65 billion investment in Arizona. We are going to build 3 more new fabs after we promised 3 fabs already, and another 2 very advanced packaging fab, and most important, R&D center also in Arizona. For this, all the investment, $165 billion, is going to create thousands of high-paid jobs, as the president just announced. And we are, most important, actually, we are going to produce many AI chips. We are going to produce many chips to support the AI progress and to support the smartphones progress. And again, with that, I want to thank President Trump again for his support. In addition, I also want to thank my customers in the U.S., such as Apple, NVIDIA, AMD, Qualcomm, Broadcom. They all support TSMC's manufacturing in the U.S. Without their support, we probably cannot make it through. So again, I want to thank them. Also, I'd like to thank the TSMC's employee. Without their effort, we just cannot make it today. That's all I want to say, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. So thank you very much. A big percentage of chips with this investment will be made now, a big percentage. Worldwide, we had very little, almost none. We used to have a lot with Intel, but we had very little. And we'll be at close to 40% of the market with this transaction and a couple of others that we're doing. That's a tremendous leap like a leap that nobody would have really said was possible. So I just want to thank you all for being here. If you want a couple of questions, ideally on this subject, yes.
Please. Number of jobs that will be created. He said
you're probably talking about 25,000 jobs, but it'll get bigger and bigger with time. Knowing this gentleman, it'll get bigger and bigger. There'll be no stopping him. Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
In addition to the job, you talked about national security, and that's one thing I think a lot of Americans don't understand. Explain the national security aspect of this.
Well, without the chips and semiconductors, nothing runs today. You can't buy a car without them. You can't get a radio, a television, you can't get anything. And we thought it was very important, obviously business-wise, but we thought even in terms of national security to have this large percentage of the chips, semiconductors, and other things that they make, the most important product, and not a product that you can really copy. It takes years and years. You know, on the needle of a pin is total genius. I mean, they can put things, I mean, something the size of the needle, the point of a pin, they put information that is just not even believable. So if you would see this, it's just really something. Yes, Brian?
One aspect of that, Honda announced they're coming to Indiana because of the tariffs. Once again,
that's right.
Bringing additional jobs in manufacturing. You want to comment on that as well?
Well, Honda's coming, and I told you about Apple that they're going to be starting to build massively here, $500 billion. And we have many other companies going to be announced, but we had many that have already announced. And now it's going to be great. It's looking really strong. I don't think this country has ever seen anything like we're seeing right now. Now, the tariffs, as you know, will start a week earlier than the reciprocal, which is going to be on a couple of weeks earlier. Reciprocal tariffs start on April 2nd. And I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to go April Fool's Day because that costs a lot of money, but that one day. But so we're going April 2nd. But very importantly, tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll start. So they're going to have a tariff. So what they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States, in which case they have no tariffs. In other words, you build, and this is exactly what Mr. Wei is doing, by building here. Otherwise, they'll build, if they did them in Taiwan to send them here, they'll have 25% or 30% or 50% or whatever the number may be someday. It'll go only up. But by doing it here, he has no tariff, so he's way ahead of the game. And I would just say this to people in Canada or Mexico, if they're going to build car plants, the people that are doing them are much better off building here because we have the market. We're the market where they sell the most. And so I think it's going to be very exciting for the automobile companies, very exciting for, I can think of any, as an example, North Carolina, they had the great, I used to go there to buy furniture for hotels, and it's been wiped out. That business all went to other countries. And now it's all going to come back into North Carolina, the furniture manufacturing business, please.
Is the Ukraine minerals deal now dead, or can it be revived?
Well, I'll let you know. We're making a speech. You probably heard about it tomorrow night, so I'll let you know tomorrow night. But no, I don't think so. I think it's a great deal for us because, you know, Biden very, very foolishly, stupidly, frankly, gave $300 billion and $350 billion more accurately to a country to fight and to try and do things. And you know what happened? We get nothing. We get nothing. Just gave it. We could have rebuilt our entire U.S. Navy with $350 billion. Think of it, $350 billion. We could have rebuilt our U.S. Navy. So he gave it away as fast as the money could be gone. And what we're doing is getting that all back and a lot more than that. And what we need, it's very important for this business that we're talking about here with chips and semiconductors and everything else. We need rare earths. And the deal we have is we have the finest rare earths that you can.
This project, could this minimize the impact to the U.S. with chips should China decide to isolate Taiwan or China decide to take Taiwan?
Well, it's a very interesting point. It's a great question, actually. But this would certainly, I can't say minimize. That would be a catastrophic event, obviously. But it will at least give us a position where we have, in this very, very important business, we would have a very big part of it in the United States. So it would have a big impact if something should happen with Taiwan.
On the tariffs, is there any room left for Canada and Mexico to make a deal before midnight? And should we expect those Chinese tariffs, the extra 10%, to take
No
effect?
room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
Mr. President, just to follow up on my colleague's question.
And just so you understand, vast amounts of fentanyl have poured into our country from Mexico. And as you know, also from China, where it goes to Mexico and goes to Canada. And China also had an additional 10, so it's 10 plus 10. And it comes in from Canada and it comes in from Mexico, and that's a very important thing to say. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Have you decided if you're going to suspend military aid to Ukraine? Have you made that decision?
Well, I haven't even talked about that right now. I mean, right now, we'll see what happens. A lot of things are happening right now as we speak. I mean, literally, as we speak, I could give you an answer and go back to my office, the beautiful Oval Office. I could go back into the Oval Office and find out that the answer is obsolete. It's like his business. It's obsolete. You come up with a new chip and it's obsolete about 2 minutes later, right? But that's what's good about his business. That's why he's the only one that's successful in it. But
Just to follow up on my colleague's question, from Russia saying that your foreign policy is largely in line with their vision, should that be concerning to Americans?
said what?
Should that be concerning to Americans?
Read the statement.
That Russia says that your administration's foreign policy is, quote, largely in line with their vision.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it takes two to tango, and you're going to have to make a deal with Russia, and you're going to have to make a deal with Ukraine. You're going to have the assent, and you're going to have the consent from the European nations, because I think that's important, and from us. I think everybody has to get into a room, so to speak, and we have to make a deal. And the deal can be made very fast. It should not be that hard a deal to make. It can be made very fast. Now, maybe somebody doesn't want to make a deal. And if somebody doesn't want to make a deal, I think that person won't be around very long. That person will not be listened to very long, because I believe that Russia wants to make a deal. I believe certainly the people of Ukraine want to make a deal. They've suffered more than anybody else. We talk about suffering. They've suffered. But if you think about it, under President Bush, they got Georgia, right? Russia got Georgia. Under President Obama, they got a nice big submarine base, a nice big chunk of land where they have their submarines. You know that, right? Crimea. Under President Trump, they got nothing. And under President Biden, they tried to get the whole thing. They tried to get the whole big Ukraine, the whole thing. If I didn't get in here, they would have gotten the whole thing. So I can only say, you can go back to Bush, you can go back to Obama, and go back to Biden. They took a lot. The only one they didn't get, you know what I gave them? I gave them anti-tank missiles. That's what I gave them. I gave them sanctions on Russia. I gave them javelins. You know the javelins? You know when they took out all those tanks? You know the tanks were heading to Kiev by the hundreds, and they were unstoppable. And I gave them javelins. So, you know, I really, Putin is the one that will tell you this has not been so good for them. The fact is that I just want fairness. I want fairness. But think of it. I gave Russia nothing except grief. I gave them nothing. I gave them sanctions and javelins. That's what I gave them. Obama gave them sheets, and you heard that statement before. It's a very famous. Trump gave them javelins, and Obama gave them sheets, and then they say how close I am to Russia. And let me tell you, we have to make a deal because there are a lot of people being killed that shouldn't be killed. But remember, Trump gave them nothing, and the other presidents gave them a lot. They gave them everything.
Mr. President, on trade, you met with Argentine President Javier Milei at CPAC. He wants to sign a free trade agreement with the United States. Is that something that you would consider even with Argentina?
I'll consider anything. And Argentina, I think he's great, by the way. I think he's a great leader. He's doing a great job. He's doing a fantastic job. Brought it back from oblivion. Yeah, we'll look at things. We're looking at the UK with things. It doesn't have to be tariffs, but tariffs are easy. They're fast. They're efficient. And they bring fairness. For instance, when people kill their their dollar, their equivalent of the dollar, whether it's the yuan or the yen in Japan or the yuan in China, when they drop them down, that puts us at a very unfair disadvantage. So all I have to do is say, Howard, we're going to have to raise the tariffs a little bit, because I've called President Xi, I've called the leaders of Japan to say you can't continue to reduce and break down your currency. You can't do it because it's unfair to us. It's very hard for us to make tractors, Caterpillar, here when Japan, China, and other places are killing their currency, meaning driving it down. So all of these things add up. And the way you solve it very easily is with tariffs, because when they do that, instead of having to make phone calls every day like I used to do with certain leaders, President Xi a little bit, a lot of phone calls, talking about the fact that they're lowering their yuan, they're lowering it down, and that makes it very, very hard for us. So this way I just say, look, let them do that, and we make up for it with the tariffs. But
will you be speaking with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum about
yeah,
China?
sure, I will. I have a lot of respect for her.
Mr. President, tariff takes effect. It'll be 20% on China now. How high are you willing to go against China?
Well, I can't say. It depends on what they do with their currency. It depends on what they do in terms of a retaliation with some kind of an economic retaliation, which I don't think they're going to retaliate too much. Hey, look, the United States has been taken advantage of for 40 years. The United States has been a laughingstock for years and years. That's why this gentleman is built in Taiwan instead of building here. It would have been better if he built here. If we had a president that knew what they were doing, and we had a lot of them very bad on trade. Look, I'm a huge fan of Ronald Reagan, but he was bad on trade, very bad on trade. He allowed a lot of people, a lot of businesses to be taken. So I say that with due respect, because he was so great on other things, but he was bad on trade. We are setting records right now, records like nobody has ever seen before. When you have companies like this coming in, and almost 40% of their company in one signature is going to be devoted to what he does, which is one of the most important businesses in the world. That's an unbelievable thing. When Apple now is going to start building all of their plants here, all because of what we've done in terms of, it's not because he likes me or they like me. They don't probably like me at all. I don't know. I think he likes me a little bit at least. But you know what? It's the incentive we created, or the negative incentive. I mean, it's going to be very costly for people to take advantage of this country. They can't come in and steal our money and steal our jobs and take our factories and take our businesses and expect not to be punished. And they're being punished by tariffs. It's a very powerful weapon that politicians haven't used because they were either dishonest, stupid, or paid off in some other form. And now we're using them.